you told Alan and Meg on SNY in your post-game interview, you weren't very surprised by what the freshmen brought to this effort. Was there anything you saw from the upperclassmen that maybe wasn't what you were expecting?
I mean, yeah, I don't think Liv and Kristen have particularly great days. I mean, not at all, for whatever reason. But I thought Avina had a really good day, considering she hasn't played in a couple of years. I thought he had a really good day, and I thought Aubrey had her moments, and I thought Anna had her good moments. So, yeah, it's the first game out, and there's a lot. There's a lot to like, and there's a lot to not like. That's normally how these things go.
As a quick follow-up, just with Olivia being that she didn't play much in the second half, was part of that because you were trying to get some of these newcomers playing time and see what the rotations would look like?
Yeah, I mean, Liv played almost the entire first half, I think she ended up playing like 18 minutes or so in the first half. So, or 16, close to it anyway. Yeah, and I mean, there's only so many ways that you can get some of these guys in and give them some time, and that was obviously the easiest way to do it.
Thanks.
Joe, you want to go ahead?
Do I? You want me to go? I can ask and answer my own questions. I'm pretty good at that.
No, I'll go. Geno, this is Joe Zone. First game, who's who, what's what is what you were looking for. Did you get too much information, and do you have enough time in 2 days to kind of sort through what you saw today?
Like I said to the team, you can find out more in a 40-minute game sometimes than you can in 4 months of practice. So we've been practicing for a long, long time. But the things that we saw today are probably more telling in good and bad ways than those 4 months, because what ends up happening is they start to see that all the good things, that happen and all the bad things that happen are directly related to, what happens in practice. So when we practice and we say, hey, look, you got to keep your foot still. When we, let's work on our, well, it's not that important. Well, it is until you get a couple walk-in calls, or, hey, let's make sure that we finish around the basket, well, I missed a couple, nice try. Well, until, hey, get in your stance and let's talk on defense. And, so these kinds of things are way more important when you see them in a game, because when you show your players that, they say, oh yeah, see, now I know how that transfers over. So you play these early season games for that reason.
Alexa, you want to go ahead?
Hey, Geno, were you able to get that much from your defensive effort today? Was it, a matter of opponent maybe, but do you feel like this team can be kind of a defensive force? You guys held them to single-digit points in all but in all the quarters and 2 points only in the second. What is the ceiling for this team on the defensive end?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't think after one game, I could say that definitively we can be. I don't know that we can. Based on what I've seen, I don't know that we can be one of those elite defensive teams like we've had in the past. And we may become that. Maybe down the road we can become that. And it's something that we've talked about in practice a lot. And we've talked about, there's a wall in our practice facility. When you walk down that wall, you see all the national defensive players of the year. Their pictures are there, they're all this stuff. And I asked, some of our players, I said, do we have any of those players here on our team? And, does anyone aspire to be that player? Like if we said, okay, we're playing a really good guard. All right, well, Kia Nurse, you got that guy. Hey, we're playing, really good forward or whatever. Hey, Gabby, you got that guy. I don't know who those people are yet. They may evolve, but I don't know who they are yet.
Pat, Rob, you want to go?
Sure. Geno, could you just give an evaluation of Paige's performance tonight? She seemed as advertised.
Well, I don't know. I mean, when you come advertised as, you're better than every flavor of ice cream that ever was invented, and, you play a game like you played today, there's probably some people out there that are probably going to go, she's not all she's cracked up to be. But I don't know. I think Paige was Paige. Paige did all the things that Paige does. She scored some points. She rebounded the ball. She stole the ball. She passed the ball. She had a feel for our offense. Her first game as a college player, I think she played great. And that, what I like to say about kids that age when they play and you just say, look, if you look at that game today and you say, I'll bet you over the next 4 years, that's the worst game that Paige Bueckers will play in her entire career. When you think that, and she almost had a quadruple double or whatever she had, then you think, wow, she was pretty good today. But her expectations, I'm sure, are way higher than today. But I thought she had a really good day for her first game.
Michelle Vopel.
Yeah, I thought she had a really good game for her first game too, Coach. This is
Yeah.
Michelle from ESPN. What I wanted to ask about Paige specifically, if I could, is and I know this isn't any surprise, you guys have seen this, but her instinct and her aggression, and we saw that from the very first basket that she had, the put back and just how smooth it was, and how is that something that you think really stands out about her, is that she looks so comfortable right away, I feel like, on a college court?
I would say so. I would say, Michelle, that's true. I would say that probably the first week of practice that we had to today, there hasn't been a time where we would say as a coaching staff that Paige looked really uncomfortable. There may be times when she's not shooting it great, or there may be times when, the right pass isn't always the right pass. But there hasn't been a time, I don't think, where we would say, there's a part of the game that she's not comfortable with. There really is. You hate to say this because she's still young, but there really isn't a segment of the game that Paige doesn't feel comfortable doing. It doesn't really matter what part of the game you want to analyze. Like, can she pass the ball? You saw that. Can she shoot it? You saw that. Can she get to the basket? Yeah. She'll try to play defense and she gets in the passing lanes. I mean, that to me is in baseball, they would call that a 5-tool player, right? They would call that a 5-tool player. They can hit, they can run, they can throw, they can hit with power, all that good stuff. So when you look at Paige, she's a 5-tool basketball player,
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte.
Hi, Geno. Just to kind of follow up on what you were saying about seeing more from the 40 minutes, what did you see that you were really impressed with? And again, on the negative side, that you will be working with more before the next game?
Look, this is the weirdest game I've ever coached in since I coached my son's AAU team down in Orlando. But at least there were 400, coaches watching. This is the weirdest thing I've ever done in my life, to be honest with you. It really is. So, my expectations for today were really, really low. How low? My expectation was, if we play this game, if we actually play this game, it will have it will have exceeded my expectations if we actually play the game. So playing the game to me was that was it. Like, let's just play the game. What happens in the game was almost secondary as far as I'm concerned. And so what did I see that was great? Nothing really. What did I see that was really good? I mean, if you think of it this way, one of the things that I want our players to do is I want them to be true to who they are. I want them to be who they are. So what you saw Paige do today, that's what Paige does every day. That's who she is. What you saw Mir McLean do today, that's what Mir does every day. Okay? You bring her in here right now into this conference and say, Mir, I'll give you $1 million. Tell me 2 plays that you guys run at Connecticut. She won't get one right. But if you say, Mir, when somebody shoots the ball, who's getting that rebound? She's going to say, me. And that's what she does. And then when she gets it, she's an aggressive player. And that's what she was today. Aaliyah Edwards is an aggressive player. And that's what she was today. You know? Nika fouls a lot in practice. That's what she did today. You know? Now, to be true to her, she hasn't practiced much the last week. You know, she's getting over a little foot thing. But, you know, so I think, you know, Aubrey did what we need Aubrey to do. So what were the positives? That a lot of these new players, young players that I wanted to see that I didn't know, would they do the things that they're good at? They did. They did the things that they're good at. And now we got to build on that. What didn't I like? Everything else.
Jeff Jacobs, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Hi, Geno. If I could just ask one more question about Paige. Not only did she look comfortable, it seemed that her teammates were comfortable around her. And I know, like, a lot of times when players get a lot of hullabaloo, either they're big players, you got to force it down, see what they can do, or they're 3-point shooters and they got to have a hot day. But she seems to do so much. Will that help your team without, I guess, we'll put it this way, without forcing her to be like this unbelievable point scorer in a given night, that she can just kind of fit into the growth of the team also?
Yeah. The thing that would tell you that, Jeff, is how many shots did she pass up today that she had? That you could have easily said that was a good shot. And she does that every day. She will pass up a lot of opportunities for herself to score so she can get somebody else a touch. And that's why all the players love her. That's why they feel so comfortable around her. Because they know she's not out there looking to get 30 every night. She's out there to make sure that we win. And if you're open, you're going to get the ball. Sometimes even if you're not open, like she threw a pass to Piath on a pick and roll or a little thing, and Piath had no idea it was coming. But she will down the road. But, you know, she's going to pass up shots, and that makes all the players feel better. That was Diana's greatest quality, I thought, was that if you were on the floor with her, you automatically became a better player just by having her on the floor with you. Now, it's not fair to compare, you know, Paige to Dee, because when Dee was a freshman, Dee had like 4 or 5 legends on her team. So this is a different scenario that Paige is stepping into. But they have similar mentalities of how to play the game of basketball, what's important in the game. And I think you saw a lot of that today.
I don't have any other hands, so if anyone wants to ask a question, go ahead.
Hey, Geno, it's Doug here. You talked a little bit about Avina. Just wondering if you could kind of reflect on her game. Obviously, there's a lot of anticipation on her end to finally get on the floor. And just how do you think she handled herself?
I thought she was great. You know, Avina hasn't played in a long, long time, coming off surgeries. You know, we try to give her, you know, breaks during practice. So I kind of, in the game, I try to like let her go and then give her some breather and let her go. And she's kind of, you know, wanting to be that kind of driving, you know, force for us defensively. And she's another one that you could put in a lot of different scenarios. You know, she's going to make a 3 like she did. She's going to, get in the lane and make a play. She's going to go get a rebound. She's going to, pester you on defense. So, he's going to help you a lot of different ways. I don't know what her reputation is, where she played before or what her reputation is coming out of high school. And, I'm not really concerned about that. I just know for us, what she did today, is exactly what this team needs from an older, experienced player.
Geno, it's Carl. You always say coaches love practice and players love games, but are you looking forward to playing 4 games in 8 days? Hopefully play 4 games in 8 days?
Yeah. If we could play 3 more games this coming week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, that would be huge. That would be huge. Obviously, if we win all 3 of them, that's even better. But just being out there and playing. Again, we practiced for 4 months, and I learned more about my team today than I did in those 4 months. And after Tuesday's game, I'll know twice as much about my team as I did in those 4 months. So for me, these are all learning experiences, finding out about my team. So yeah, we need games. That's the only way you can find out. We don't need any more practice. I don't want to go to another practice if I don't have to, and neither do the players.
How does that affect your rotation when you need to see things in a game than in practice?
Well, that's what I have to try to figure out. That's why we tried to play Aaliyah a lot, either, with Liv, without Liv. We have to figure out, when do we use Aubrey? When do we use Mir? How the guards are going to work themselves out. It's more of the post players that I have to figure out, the front court players. The backcourt rotations, those are easy. But yeah, I need to figure out how to do that. And each game will give me an idea. What the rotation was today might not be the same rotation on Tuesday. And what the rotation is on Tuesday might not be the same on Thursday. I don't know.
Kai, you want to go ahead?
Just expanding on that a little bit. I mean, this is a team where you have a lot of depth, and it's not necessarily going to be the same lineup every single game. So how do you go about kind of figuring that out, but then also developing the identity of the team this year?
Well, I've coached some teams that had a lot of depth. And by nature, you know what depth means? Like when a person has depth, that means there's a lot of substance below the surface. I've had teams that had more substance below the surface sometimes than they had in their starting lineup. This team, we have 8 or 9 players. I don't know what kind of depth we have yet. I don't know who can do what in game situations. I don't know. If we're limited in certain lineups, we can't play these 2 guys together. We can't have this guy out with that guy. We can't play this person at that position. If that becomes the case, then we don't have depth. We have specialists, and that's not that great. So by the end of this week, I'll have a better idea of what kind of depth we have.
Does anyone have anything else for Coach?
Yeah, this is Jim Clark, coach from Women's Hoops World. You said Aaliyah Edwards did what she does. Give us more about what you think she can bring as she develops.
Well, I thought she was a physical force inside the lane. I thought she was probably the most physical player in the game. Every possession that she was in the game, I thought she was a factor in the lane on both sides of the floor, offense and defense. And her aggressiveness is going to get her in trouble, as you saw with the offensive fouls. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And, you know, she's going to rebound. She's going to play defense. She's going to get herself in a position to finish, you know, and get a layup. She's a pretty good 15-foot shooter. She's not a bad passer from the high post. She didn't get a chance to do all that stuff. She runs the floor well. But I thought for today, her first game out, I think she did the things that she's most comfortable doing. Which when I was recruiting her, that's what I thought. So this kid goes hard. She runs the floor hard. She's physical. She's aggressive. She attacks. That's what she did today.
Geno, it's Carl again. Was Shea any different on the bench today?
No, she wasn't. One time I wanted to call off the press and she said, why? And so I don't know what happened, whether, Tom might've said something on last night or this morning or something. I don't know, but I said, we should sub our starters out. She goes, not yet. So I don't know what that means. I would have to ask Tom. Nah, Shea was Shea. She wasn't any different. Yo, this is the weirdest thing ever, man. I can't stress that enough. This is the weirdest thing ever. I looked over in the end zone. We have more dog posters at our game today than we had human beings. When was the last time that happened? There were more canines in Gamble Pavilion today than there were human beings. And it wasn't even a dog show. If it was a dog show, it would be great. It just can't get used to this, man. I can't look over there. I looked over one time when I saw my wife. I wasn't sure whether it was her or the cardboard version of her. It's the weirdest thing. And I seriously, I've never seen anything like it.
Do you know yet, Geno, what you're doing for traveling? You know, how you're going to be able to come back into the state and play again?
No. I just know we're going to Seton Hall on Monday and we're playing Seton Hall on Tuesday. And we do our testing and we do all that. So there you have it. I think you have to be in the other state 24 hours, I think, something like that. We're not going to be there 24 hours. And even if we were, when we come back, I mean, it's not like we're going anywhere and doing anything. So, hey, tell the cops not to stop us. The bus is going to go fast. Just tell them not to pull us over. And if we play lousy at Seton Hall, I would tell the governor, hey, look, you got to quarantine us, man. We can't play Thursday.
Does anyone have anything else? All right.
Yeah. Hey, I like talking to you guys like this. This is great. You like it too, huh? Lexa's shaking her head. You don't like it, huh? This is goofy, right? This is the weirdest thing ever. Honest to God. It doesn't even feel like basketball. I feel bad for our freshmen, when they sign their letter of intent. They're watching on TV. I want to run out the tunnel, 10,000 people at Gamble. It's going to be unbelievable, the energy. The crowd's going to go crazy when I do this. And they walk out and, looks like they're at a bad stand-up comic night.
Coach, this is Michelle. If I could ask you about that real quick, what does that mean for these kids? Like you said, you feel bad for them, but in some ways, do you think that's going to give them an extra appreciation almost of what they will get whenever we're back to normal, hopefully whenever that happens?
I think that's a great comment, Michelle. I think when not if, but I mean, when the fans do come back, our kids are going to know how special that is. So if they ever took that for granted, I promise you they won't anymore. They won't anymore. That's a great point.
Hey, Paige, Pat from the AP. Can you just assess your performance in your first game and what it was like to finally get out there?
It was really fun. I mean, we've been waiting to play basketball for 9 months, and just for it to be my first college game as well. It was just really exciting to get out there and no fans. It didn't really matter. Our whole team just wanted to play basketball.
Paige, it's Carl Adamek from the Journal-Inquirer. You played in World Cup gold medal games, state championship games, and, how many big games, through your life. What was today's game like for you as far as nerves or anxiety or anything like that, emotions, coming into your first college game?
Yeah, before the game, I was really nervous. And warm-ups, I was nervous. Before tip-off, I was nervous. But once you start playing basketball, it's just like any other game. Like, you're just playing basketball, just having fun, just playing with your teammates, with your coaches, and everything like that. So once the basketball game actually got underway, it was kind of calming.
Is that different than usual?
No, I usually get nervous before every game, but once I start going, I usually just tend to calm down after that.
Thank you.
Paige, Geno talked about your versatility and the different ways you contribute and the different ways you contributed today. What do you view as your number one job on this team and the number one job of a point guard, or is it just that to be able to do a little bit of everything?
Yeah, I mean, do a little bit of everything, but mostly doing whatever my coach wants me to do and whatever my teammates need me to do. I mean, if that's passing, if that's scoring, if that's rebounding, if that's getting steals, just whatever they need me to do. And I think the number one priority for me is just to make my teammates and everybody around me better.
And if I could just follow up, could you describe the play to close the first half where you kind of twisted through the lane for a layup to beat the buzzer?
Yeah, I mean, I just saw there was 10 seconds left, so we usually just do a head tap high ball screen. And then I kind of just needed a score, so I switched my way through the lane and I got to the rim.
Paige, this is Michelle Vogel from ESPN.com. I wondered if you could also address something Geno said about comfort level, and that can be a tough thing no matter how much talent you have to have the comfort level when you come into college. But he said you haven't really seemed uncomfortable with anything. Can you sort of, does that just come from a confidence of knowing what you're doing, or what's that been like from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I get uncomfortable in practice when he's pushing me, when I'm getting out of my comfort zone because I'm going so hard and I'm doing things I've never done before. But I think it helps in how hard we go at practice. It just makes the games easier because the practices are a lot harder than the games. And also, yeah, just my confidence knowing I've put the work in and I'm going hard at practice. We're going hard as a team. It makes me a lot more confident on the court.
Jim Clark from Women's Hoops World. To say that there has been a lot of hype about your play is an understatement. How do you manage to avoid getting wrapped up in all of that?
I talked to Coach about this the other day. It's just knowing that I can't live up to anybody else's expectations. And my expectations for myself are pretty high. I would say it's higher than a lot of other people have for me. So just trying to live up to what I know I can do and what my coaches want me to do, what my teammates need me to do. I've tried not to focus on what everybody else thinks and everybody else wants me to do because I'm not going to be perfect at the end of the day, but I just work to be the best version of myself.
As a follow-up, do you spend any time reading your own press?
I try not to get too much into that because if I have a bad game, it can get me down. And if I have a really good game, it could bring my spirits up too high. And I want to have that calm balance of where I'm confident, but I'm not like too big-headed. And I don't ever want to get too low if I have a bad game. So I just try to find that in between and stay level-headed.
Paige, your ability to
blog.
give up, excuse me.
Sorry, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Paige, your ability to give up a good shot for what might be a great shot for a teammate, is that something that is basketball instinct or a skill you've really learned and built upon over the years through experience?
Yeah, I think I've learned a lot playing basketball. And I'm just unselfish. I care about making my teammates better. And if I have a good shot, I want to give my teammates even better shots. I don't know if that's just who I am, but I like to see my teammates and everybody else around me to do great things.
Paige, it's Ian from the UConn blog. Can you just talk about what you saw from your fellow freshmen today?
It was really good basketball. Nika came in and did her thing, making plays for others. Mir, great offensive rebounder, great defensive rebounder, and she's just a pest on defense. She did great things. And then Aaliyah, obviously, I think she's one of the strongest people I know, so she did her thing in the paint as well. And then Piath, I was trying to get her a bucket at the end because she had a really great pass to Mir, so it's there. She has really great potential, and she played well with the minutes she got. But, yeah, I think all the freshmen did really great things today.
Paige, this is Michelle from ESPN again. It's it's impossible when you play at UConn to not be compared to legends. That's just part of the deal. But is there any player in particular you like to think of yourself in comparison to that's a former UConn player?
Yeah, I mean, I try to take parts away from like DT's game, Sue Bird's game. Really, they're two really, really great guards, probably two of the best guards to ever play. And they went to UConn too, so them going through the same stuff that I went through, I try to take as much away from them as I can.
Thank you.
Hi, Paige. This is Alexa Philpott from The Current. Since you guys have so many more games back to back coming up with a lot less practice time, how do you think that's going to be for you all? I mean, you've practiced a ton. I'm sure you're ready to get into games, but games also come with higher stakes. So what are you expecting from that stretch coming up?
I think we're so tired of practicing. We've been practicing for like 4 months now. So I think games are going to be really good for us. We're going to learn a lot more. We're just going to be able to play in a new environment against new people. So I think it'll be hard. I mean, AAU in high school used to play like 3 games a day. So but college games are obviously harder, but I know that our bodies have kind of been through something like that before. But it'll be hard, but I think we're itching to play more games at this point.
Hey, Olivia, this is Charlotte Carroll from The Athletic. How was it to get back on the court today and actually play a game?
It felt great. We've been out. I mean, our last game was around 9 months ago. So to be able to actually get out here and play together as a team was really exciting.
Jim Clark from Women's Hoops. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jim. I'll go after you.
All right. This is Jim Clark from Women's Hoops World. Comment a little bit on what you saw from the new kids that you really liked and maybe didn't.
I saw that we were capable of being aggressive, but as always, that we can work on that more. I see that they understand the concepts of what we're doing, and they're able to apply that today. And I think as we continue to practice and then continue to actually play and be in those game situations, it can only get better from here.
Hi, Olivia. This is Alexa. Specifically, what did you see from Aaliyah today, and how does she help you, whether or not you're on the practice court together, on the court, in the game at the same time, just to be a better player in your own right too? I
see, what she really brings is just a physicality, and she's super strong. And we were able to see that today too, regardless of, the offensive fouls and things like that. But she's just super strong and super physical, and she's able to finish well too. And I think, as she continues to go throughout the season, that's going to be a very big factor for us.
Olivia, it's Carl Adamek at the Journal Inquirer. Starting on Tuesday, hopefully you'll play 4 games in 8 days. What will it be like for this team to play game practice, and how do you build on each performance and each practice going through that kind of stretch?
Yeah, I mean, being in this program is definitely something that I'm not used to, and I haven't seen before. But I think, as most things that we've been able to do this season, we'll be able to adjust as we need to. And so regardless if that's a back-to-back games like that or, just a quick turnaround, I think we'll be able to adjust well as a team. And I think we're just looking forward to just being able to play regardless of the situation.
Just to kind of follow up on the youth question, how did it feel actually on the court? I guess it was talked about kind of chemistry and how you guys would blend, just how it actually felt pass to pass or play to play with them, with the new guys.
Yeah, I think we're moving the ball well, and I think we're trying to find the open people, regardless of, we have the little turnovers, little tip pass, things like that. But that'll come with time, and that'll come with practice too. And the good thing about playing is being able to see, okay, this is how we run the game, and then go back and practice and adjust and fix that.
I mean, from our perspective, it looked obviously very smooth, but did it feel smoother than expected for you guys, or after practice, was that kind of just what you were expecting?
I mean, like I said before, we'll just go back and see what we need to work on and things like that. Of course, it won't be as smooth as we were in practice, just being the first game and coming out the gate like that. But, we'll just look back and adjust how we need to.
Hi, Avina. This is Alexa Philippou. When we talked with you the other day, you said there'll probably be a moment when I get on the court, I get in the game, and it really just sinks in that I'm playing my first game in a UConn jersey. Did that happen for you today, and if so, when?
I don't think it really hit me until the end of the game, honestly, until after Coach had talked to us when we were in the locker room and we were changing. I think then it just kind of hit me like, oof. Okay, like, that just happened. So just taking it all in, and it was a great experience for me.
Yeah, Avina, this is Charlotte. To follow up on that, I mean, what was it like playing for the first time in a year and a half and that amount of time?
It was definitely a lot of emotions, I think, before the game. Just running through my head of where I was at a year ago from today. So, but just being out there, I'm an older player, so I have to play a certain way and act that way on the court. So, I think it was a good first game for all of us. Just going out there and just finally getting to get a game, I think, was the biggest thing for me. So, but I think it was great overall.
Avina, Carl Adamek from the Journal-Inquirer. You played 21 minutes today. Do you think you could go more? How did you feel out there, as far as, energy and everything that comes with that?
No, I felt great. That time, just whenever I come out when Coach puts me back in, I go back in. So I'm not really worried about a game such as this one, playing a whole lot, but just making sure that whenever I'm out there, I'm doing what needs to be done for the team.
Hey, Avina, Doug with Hurst here. You've played with a lot of point guards, but now what are your impressions of Paige and how she handled herself today?
She's amazing. She loves to facilitate the ball, get a lot of people involved when she can create her own shot at any time. So just making sure that, you're always looking for it, because she will get you the ball. But she's been nothing but a joy to play with, honestly, and all of them have. But just the type of teammate that she is as well is outstanding. So especially a young player like her. So my expectations of her is just really just continue to do what she's doing.
Anything else for E?
Yeah, this is Jim Clark from Women's Hoops World. How would you rate your own performance today in terms of where you think you'll be in, say, a month and what you expected?
I would say it was a solid day today on a scale of 1 to 10. Probably around like a 5, 6. Definitely not, wasn't that top tier best game of my life. No, I haven't played in feels like 2 years. So just really going out there, first game in a UConn jersey, getting all the jitters out, all the mistakes out, and just the overall excitement of having a first game in over a year. So we knew the whole team we're going to make mistakes and little mistakes that we shouldn't be making, but now we have a better understanding as individuals and as a team of what we need to really focus on in practice.
Avina, this is Michelle Vogel from ESPN.com. I was wondering, especially as a more experienced player, do you guys talk a little bit about how you have to create a lot of your own energy with things being different now with COVID, without the fans? And as players, do you sort of maybe have to depend on each other for some of that normally you might get from a crowd?
Most definitely, we had talked about it. Just the overall atmosphere was going to be different for a lot of us. For the freshmen, they don't really know because this is their first time. But having that, bringing that energy is an expectation for us in practice each and every day. So being in the game is really nothing different. Actually, it made it a lot easier. Being in the games is a lot more excitement and playing against another team. So our bench was definitely involved the whole game. People were getting subbed in and out and cheering each other on, whether it was me or Piotr in the game. So it was a really, really fun experience. And I'm sure we'll be able to, handle that down the road as well.
Thank you.
Hi, Mira. This is Alexa Philippou from The Current. One of the things that Geno had said is for the freshmen, you guys really went in and did what you were good at and focused on those things for your first game. Is that kind of what your mentality was going into the game, just focusing on, the things you can do well, and how do you plan to build upon that moving forward?
Yeah, we were all excited to play our first game. We've been waiting for a long time, so the anticipation of the first game was really exciting. And yeah, I knew what I could do, and I knew what my teammates could do just playing with them for 4 months, and we just went out and just did the best that we could.
Amir, Doug with Hurst, obviously, playing that first game, it wasn't what you imagined with the empty stands and whatnot, but just what was that like, and kind of just the whole scenery of everything?
To me, it wasn't that bad, but just when we got quiet on the bench, it was kind of awkward. But the bench kind of kept it alive, so I think that was good on our part.
Mir, it's Carl Adamek from the Journal-Inquirer. Usually you play all the time, through high school AAU. You're always on the court. This time you had to wait a little bit to play. What was going through your mind as you're waiting, and how did you handle, watching the game, and what did you try to pick up from watching the game?
I just tried to focus on what everyone was doing on the court and try to stay locked in by talking on the bench and just trying to stay focused. When Coach was talking to the people on the court, he was talking to all of us, so I just tried to keep paying attention. And just when I got out there, I was just keeping my mindset to do the things that I'm good at.
Anything else for Mir?
Yeah, I got one. Jim Clark from Women's Hoops World. You just talked about doing the things that you're good at. Tell us what you think those are and how you expressed that on the court today.
I know I'm really good at offensive rebounding or rebounding in general. I try to go after every ball and just hustle plays on defense, and I think I accomplished that goal.